Purpose can have a way of showing up when we least expect it, and this story is a perfect example of that. Hi, my name is Leslie Pagel, and welcome to Purpose Project. In this episode, I sit down with Kristina Fattorusso. Kristina is an entrepreneur, she's a realtor, and she is someone whose path to purpose happened in a very unexpected way, where her instincts led the way to a thriving business rooted in her purpose of helping others. Kristina brings powerful insights about purpose in the workplace. Let's take a listen. Kristina, thank you so much for being on Purpose Project. I am looking forward to having a conversation about how purpose shows up in the workplace.
Thank you so much, Leslie. I'm looking forward to it.
Before we dive into the topic, share a little bit with us about you. Who is Kristina, both personally and professionally?
Sure. So Kristina Fattorusso, I live in northern Pennsylvania. I was born and raised in New Jersey and then made it over to the Pennsylvania side back in 2001. I've been in corporate America for 25 years, and then I delved into real estate, which I've been doing for almost 8 years. I work with my husband, so we're a team, and I'm licensed in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. So it's been fun to see the corporate side and now as a 1099 employee on the other side.
Very cool. Very cool. A question that everyone gets asked on Purpose Project is, do you have a personal purpose? And if so, what is that?
My personal purpose is to help other people. I have this innate, I guess, feeling that I get so excited when I help other people. So that's why real estate has been such a good fit, because I get to help people, whether they're selling or buying or investing, sitting at that closing table and just seeing the smile on their face. That's all the satisfaction I need.
Yeah, I remember home shopping about 20 years ago. And yeah, it's a big investment, and having people to help you alongside that, I can imagine is a rewarding, a great way of living out your purpose.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's their biggest financial decision and move that they're going to make. So it gives me great pride and also comfort to know that they trust me and that I can help them with that entire process from beginning to end.
Absolutely. So, season one of Purpose Project was very focused on individuals who had clarity in their purpose and they were living it out every day. And one of the things that I recognized is that sometimes they were living it out through their work, like getting paid for it, and other times they weren't. And it got me really interested of this topic, which we're here to talk about today, of purpose in the workplace.
Mhm.
And would love to hear your thoughts on how does purpose show up in the workplace?
So I feel that you have to have a passion for what you're doing. So if you don't, and it's like a 9 to 5 grind, and I always think of that commercial Time to Make the Donuts. So if you have that feeling, I don't feel like that's really suiting your inner purpose. If you get up and you're excited to do what you want to do every day, and you don't pay attention to the time, my day flies by, and I don't have set hours, and I don't think, oh, I have to do this or I have to do that. I do the work and I don't think about it. So I feel like you have to be passionate about what you're doing, and that from that stems your purpose.
Yeah, that is definitely something that emerged in season one, as this overlap of purpose and passion. And it was almost like the passion was how purpose was lived out.
I
Which is, yeah, it's kind of what you're saying is like, if you can find your passion in the workplace, then it could be a place that you could live out your purpose.
I agree. And I feel like also you could have your passion, and it could take you to different places to find your purpose. So, you could pick an industry, something that you're good at, and it could stem to other opportunities if you're passionate about it and you have that innate purpose that drives you
Mhm.
forward. And I feel like it's also about energy. So if you're open to that, you're going to draw those experiences to you. Whereas if you're in something that you don't enjoy, and you're not happy about it, then it's kind of like you're just going to work and there isn't any other purpose that you're getting out of it.
Mhm. Mhm. And I have to imagine that there are people out there that are doing that, right? They're working in jobs that aren't aligned with their purpose. Have you ever been in that situation?
Yes, yeah. Starting out in corporate America, at first you just want to get a job. You want to be able to have benefits and get paid, and then you can build on that. But there are positions that people are in that they're not happy, and you could either sit by the wayside and just keep doing it and be miserable, or think, this is it, or and those are limiting beliefs, or you can expand
Mhm.
and think of solutions instead of focusing on the fear, and the limitations. You can think outside the box and think, okay, I'm not happy doing this. What am I good at, and what drives me? And that's going to propel you forward.
Mm. I love that. Could you say a little bit more about the limiting beliefs? Because that's the first time that's come up on the show.
Okay, yeah. That there's people with limiting beliefs. You could think, I don't have enough money. I'm not good enough to do, said task. And you get in your head. So when you think of the saying "mind over matter," if you kind of get out of your head and stop sticking to those limiting beliefs, which it turns into negativity. And
Mhm.
so again, that's what you're drawing to yourself. If you're stuck in, I'm never going to have enough money, I can't pay my bills. But if you open yourself up and remove those limiting beliefs and kind of expand the way that you think, and because what you think, you can make that a reality. So if
Right.
you're focused on that all the time, that's you're going to stay there. But if you remove those limiting beliefs and get past that, then the sky's the limit.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you mind sharing your story of getting to being a realtor? Because yeah, you shared it with me, and I think it's a story of fate, really. I don't know, but yeah, share it.
I definitely think it was fate. So I was in corporate America, at the time for 20 years, and they had eliminated 11,000 people, anybody that was a director or above. And so, of course, I was heartbroken and thought, oh my goodness, now what? And I was driving the one day and I saw this sign outside that said real estate classes start today. So I just kind of, the steering wheel, I didn't even think about it. I just kind of pulled into the parking lot and went inside and asked if I could sign up for the classes. And it took about 3 months, and then you had to sit for your test. But I love it. I've always loved houses. I love working with people and helping people. And my first year, I had Rookie of the Year, not only for my region, but for the company. So, again, it goes to the point that you may not think that you're good at something, but if you have an innate passion for something, I feel like it draws it out. And, at first, I'm not going to lie, I was worried about, as a realtor, the typical person, you could probably make 30,000 the first year, and then you build on that,
Mhm.
because you don't get paid if the transaction doesn't close. So um, I actually was thinking about that, and then I got a call from a vice president that who was also laid off, and he went to a different company, and he asked me. He said, "You can work remotely. Can you come work for me? I know you're still doing real estate, so you could do both. And if you get into a bind, just talk to me. Tell me if you have a closing, and I'll cover for you." So it was like I couldn't even create a better situation or scenario. job. And I did that for 3.5 years. And then I was solid on the real estate side. And so I decided to leave corporate America altogether. So again, it was, the limiting beliefs at first, like, oh, I'm not going to have enough money. How am I going to pay? And then after that, I just thought, I can do this. I can make this work. And then, a different opportunity came along.
Mhm. Had you at the time that this happened, where you lost your job, you see a sign and just gut instinct respond to it. At that point, did you already have clarity in your life's purpose?
So I like to do a dream board every January. I feel like it sets the year. And I went back and looked at my dream boards, and I noticed that they all had different houses, like the architecture or different rooms. I love to read, so I always had a picture of like a chair sitting in front of a built-in bookcase. So I've always been drawn to that, and I kind of laughed when I thought about it. It was kind of like I was planning it, and then the opportunity came up and I just pulled into the driveway and signed right up.
Wow. Yes. Yeah. At that time, though, was it clear to you that, like, that I want to be working in a job to help people? Like,
It was. So I did think about that I've been working for these companies and working toward their goals. And what do I like to do? What's
Mhm,
my goal? And it was working with other people, or how could I help other people? And in real estate, I mean, that's the whole job description in a nutshell, is that you're helping other people. So it was a nice transition. And I thought, I want to work on my own. I want to be creative, and being a realtor, you can get creative with that. So I went and took my broker's license for Pennsylvania. So I have my broker's license. So I don't have to sell all the time. I could go and run an office, open an office, or, there's different opportunities with management. So even though you're a 1099 employee, there are other avenues. I know some realtors that go on to be appraisers, some that do interior design and staging. So again, with the limiting beliefs, don't just think that you're pigeonholed into a certain career.
mhm.
Just think about what you're good at and what you're passionate about, and then it won't feel like a job.
Yes, yes. And how important is it, from your perspective, to find a job where you are living your purpose?
I think it's very important. I think about grandmothers or grandfathers that said, oh, our advice always was, you should stay in that job. You should do that. You have to make money and you have to have benefits. And so that's what we're raised with. But as I get older and have nieces and nephews and they're starting college, and that's what I tell them is, do what you love, do what you enjoy, because life is too short, and you don't want to look back and have regrets, or think about coulda, shoulda, woulda. Instead,
Mhm.
dig into what you're good at, and you're going to attract good opportunities to you. So again, it's about the energy, the mindset, and honoring yourself, really.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. And yeah, it's, to me, what I hear there is having clarity in yourself and who and what lights you up and where your strengths are too and what you enjoy doing, and not having the limiting beliefs that, well, I can't make money from that, you know,
Right.
because you never know.
Yeah, I've been reading a book actually by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and he talks about Henry Ford. And Henry Ford didn't finish high school. I don't even think he finished grade school. I think he went to school up until a certain age, and then he had a job. But look at what he did and how he turned out, and the impact that it has not only on our country but the world.
Uh-huh.
So you think about that, and again, like he wasn't stuck in a limiting belief. He was following what he was passionate about, and people told him, I in the book it said, he told his employees, I want you to create a V8 engine. And they tried to do it, and he stepped away, and 3 weeks later he came back and said, how's it working? And they're like, we still haven't figured it out. And he said, you're going to figure it out, you're going to make it work. And then he came back another 3 weeks later, and they had figured it out, but he wasn't going to take no for an answer. Innately, he knew that he had the brain power, and they were going to figure it out. And they kept getting down on themselves, and they're like, this is impossible. And he's like, no, it's not, you're going to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've talked about living in a job, working at a job where you can live out your purpose,
Mhm.
and how, and the employee's perspective of that, right? How life is short, find something you love, do something you love. But let's take a look at the business side of it. Why is it good for business?
So for business, and I guess we could use the Henry Ford example too. That's a company, and they're in business to grow and also to have an impact on their consumers, and they want their consumers to come back. So it's important to make sure that all your employees are on the same wavelength in terms of your goals, and having a mission statement and driving that forward in the culture. And so if you're building a strong culture, then you're going to be successful. You're only as successful as your people are. So just making sure that everybody's on the same page and marching toward the same goal, and then also thinking about the impact that it has. And another example in that book was Bill Gates with Microsoft. And you think about that with computers and how it's grown over the years, and all the software and what we can do, and with AI. And no one has an alarm clock anymore. We have everything on our phone, between the camera,
Mhm.
the flashlight, the alarm clock. So those are companies that had a mission, and then they just kept building on it and growing.
Yeah. Yeah. And bringing people in that align their purpose,
Right.
perhaps,
Right.
to the purpose of the business.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed in this season is when I ask the question, how does purpose show up in the workplace? There's two perspectives that come up. There's one, the employee's perspective, which is what you talked about. When I show up to work and I'm living my purpose through that. The other is the perspective of the business and the purpose of the business. And what we just talked about, it feels like, is when those two overlap, when you can have employees in the business that are aligned with the purpose of the business, great things can happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's
that's
both grow. Individually you grow, and then as a company you grow. So it's a win.
Mhm. When it seems like that is a little bit of your story, the success that you've had, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I never thought that that would all transpire. I thought that I would probably be at that company and retire, but when you're thrown a curveball, you just have to keep your options open. But I also believe there's greater forces at hand. And to your point, it was fate. And, people say, oh, you're so natural at it. And I don't feel like I'm natural. I'm just passionate about it, and it makes me happy. So,
Yeah. Yeah, when Rookie of the Year, I mean, you had a successful start.
yeah, and I wasn't expecting that either. And I honestly didn't track my numbers or anything. I just would go and help people. And so when they came to me and told me that, not only for our region, but it was for New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Maryland, I'm like, oh my goodness, I had no idea. So,
Wow. That's awesome.
thank you.
I'm hearing a lot of positives, right? When we work at a job that is aligned with our purpose, it doesn't feel like Monday when it's Monday, and, all the things, and it benefits the company. But are there any downsides from your perspective or from your experience?
I would just say, because you're so driven and you're so passionate about something, that people think you're available 24/7. So And I like to be super responsive, but at the same time, I have to take a step back and remember, I have a personal life too, and I have a husband and a dog and chickens, and I have to make
Oh,
sure, everyone's taken care of. So I do feel like it could be draining. You have to be mindful of that. So just practicing gratitude every day and having a routine, time blocking helps,
okay.
and just making sure that you're taking care of mind, body, and spirit. It's not just you're grinding and helping everybody, because if you're not healthy, then you can't help anyone.
Right. Yeah. So mind, body, and spirit, where does purpose fit in those? Where would you put it?
I would say spirit. I feel like we're all born with a strength, whether we know it right away. There's some people. I think about Andre Bocelli and how beautifully he sings, and his son sings with him, and his daughter. Is it genetics? I think about that too. Are you born with these abilities, especially when it's all in one family? But other people, you figure it out later in life, as you plug away and you have some failures, and you step up from that and look within to see what's going on, where do I want to go, why am I
Mhm.
here. You ask all the deep questions, and I feel like if you're always on a high, you're not going to be able to get to the core of that. So you do need some failures, in order to overcome them and challenges, so you can look within to see how you can be a better person.
Yeah, yeah. And going back to the mind, body, spirit, take care of the whole person as well.
Right.
Yeah. I love that because I started Purpose Project. The idea came up almost a year ago, and I found myself a little bit of wrestling with this feeling of wanting to go all in. And I have a job that I do. And then Purpose Project is my passion. It's that thing. But I find myself wanting to pour so much into it and having this perspective of mind, body, spirit. And you've got to take care of all of them. And purpose kind of fits in the spirit, but I need to balance it all. I can't put it all into
Right.
spirit. Yeah.
Right, right. I know it is. It's definitely a balance, and I think with the time blocking that helps, because that's another thing. Especially as a 1099 or self-employed person, people are going to want to start to contact you as soon as they wake up. So they could be texting at 6:30 in the morning or 9:30 at night. So also thinking about a routine, like I'm not going to look at my phone until 9 a.m. When I get up, I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to do some gratitudes. I'm going to read something positive. I'm going to exercise, and then I'll be ready. Because again, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be in the right mindset. And, you're going to be able to better serve them if you're in a better mindset.
Yeah. Did you just walk us through your morning routine? Is
I
that your
did.
routine?
I did, yes. I also like to write 2 personal note cards and send them out to people that I know or past clients, and I feel like I have some pen pals now, and, you don't really get a handwritten note card anymore.
Mhm.
So I have people, they're like, "I love that. I have it up on my cork board because I just don't get them." So I love that. Or I have, past clients that have sent me gifts for Christmas, like a beautiful hand painted ornament. And I didn't even know that about her, that she's an artist and that she hand paints things. And so it's fun to learn more about people and share. And I feel like when you're in the right profession and you're following your purpose, that those little perks pop up too, and you
Uh,
create greater bonds with people.
yeah. Well, that is one of the things that I learned from season 1, and, it's the word connection and the power and importance of connection, and
Yeah.
it's in 3 regards. It's connection to ourselves, it's connection to each other, and then connection to the environment, and you spoke to both the first 2 for sure. With your daily habits, your routines.
Yeah.
So every morning you write is it a daily routine where every morning you write 2
I do it Monday through Friday. I give
Uh-huh.
myself a little, on the weekends, I try to sleep in if I can a little bit. But yeah, I do it Monday through Friday, and I'll write it down so I don't forget. It could be a month or two later, and I'm like, did I write that person a note card? So, um, I have my stamps, I have my note cards, I have everything ready, and I also it's soothing for me, just to, and it's not like a short note. I listen to people when they talk, so it's asking them, how did it go with your son, and how does he like college, or it's personable, and
Right.
again, it comes back to the connection, and that's important to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So to re-emphasize this point, it is taking control of your day. And a great way to do it is to protect your mornings
Yes,
and don't pick up the phone first thing.
right.
It can wait. It's going to be there. Take charge. Start your day the way you want to start it.
Right. And we're so trained to look at our phone because that is everything. It's like our computer in our hand. So I just feel like if you're looking at it, then your heart rate goes up and you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, I have to hurry up and I have to do this." And it kind of, if you do that, then it's going to throw off, again, giving yourself that time and that solitude, and just thinking about the day and your goals. And I have a planner, and I'll look at it every day and write down, so if I know something's happening the next day, I'll make sure that's top of mind. So I'm not just going freely and about my day. I have a set time schedule.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Obviously, people, they'll throw you some curveballs, especially in real estate. If I have a listing and a pipe burst in the basement, then of course that's going to throw your day off. But other than that, you try to stick to the schedule, and if you miss something, then carry it over to the next day.
Right. Don't let it completely derail your routine.
Yeah,
Just it might be a little blip, but get back on it.
right.
Yeah. I love this idea of limiting beliefs and the stories that we tell ourselves. And I think there's a story in there about, well, I need to check the phone, and it's no, we don't. We just slept through the whole night. Another hour, hour and a half isn't going to change anything.
Right, right. I remember someone giving me an analogy. Think about when you're walking in Manhattan in New York and all the people, and just think of like little bubbles over their head and the thoughts that they're thinking, and it's, chaos. And, if you attribute to all the thoughts in your day, so you know that you're going to have a lot going on, and plus you're having people contact you and they're having problems. So why not take that time to just kind of sit and be grounded and then move on with your day?
Right. Yeah. Do you feel like that practice helps you throughout the day? We talked about the morning, but how does that help you in the middle and end of the day?
It definitely does. And even sometimes during lunchtime, I'll meditate. I'll take a couple minutes. And again, it's grounding yourself because things can get crazy. And I just think it's so important to, again, take care of you, whether you're working for a corporation or yourself. And a friend, when I worked in corporate America, it would be so crazy. And he'd say, let's just go outside and do a lap around the building and just look at the clouds, and you could just feel your heart rate go down, and it was like you hit the reset button, and it could only be for 10 minutes. So I think that's really important for people too.
Yes, yes. And that is the impact of connecting to the environment. It
Yeah,
really
it
is.
is. It is.
Going outside and looking at the stars or the clouds or the snow. It's snow. There's snow on the ground here now at the time that we're recording this. So,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I walk the dog. I try to walk him every day. Obviously, if it's like 20 degrees out, I won't, but I do feel like that helps reset. And I've met people on the trail that I've become friends with. Originally, they didn't know my name, they just knew my dog's name, and they'd say, Hi, Vito. So I love that too. I love,
oh,
again, coming back to the connection and people, and, bringing people together. I love that.
yes, yes. It does feel like your purpose is really intertwined in your business, in your personal life, in your community. It's
Absolutely.
a part of all the things that you do.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
And we can't separate it at work, right? We don't put our purpose to the side and then go to work.
Right, right.
Yeah. I'm imagining that there are people in this world that go to a job and they do have to put their purpose aside. Any advice for them?
I would just say, just think about again what you're good at, and every like I said, everybody was born with a talent, whether you know it or not, and just really delve into that and think about it and what you enjoy, and just dream and think, if I didn't have to come to this job, what would I do? I love to travel. So, again, that ties into real estate. I get to travel to different areas. I had a listing that was 2 hours away, and my husband came with me, and I did an open house, and then we went out to dinner after that. So, try to make it fun too. Just get
Mhm.
creative and have fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Any other things left unsaid on the topic of purpose in the workplace or purpose in general from your perspective?
In terms of advice, just whatever you do with your purpose, always do it with integrity, and again, honor yourself. And I always say, go with your gut. So if something doesn't feel right, follow that, because it's like
Mhm.
an internal tuning fork. So, it's you telling you something, whether you know it or not. So listen to that. Don't ignore it. And just follow your heart, and I know you'll land where you're supposed to.
Yeah, and you did that when you turned that car that one day, in response to the sign.
Right.
It sounds like that was gut just saying, "Well, let's go."
It was. Yeah, I didn't even know I was turning. I was like, "Oh, I guess I'm doing this. I'm committed."
No. Well, I love it. I believe that we spend so much time at work, and I do think that why even in a job where it might not directly align with our purpose, that we can make connection points to it. And so looking for those connection points, doing it with integrity and enjoying the benefits of it.
Right, right. Yeah, and having fun and living in the moment too. That's important.
Mhm.
Sometimes I feel like when you, especially if you're working for a corporation, you get into their goals and you're trying to accomplish them, and then again, it's like time to make the donuts. So if you sit back, have fun, and think, okay, this is almost over, and then we're going to do this. So just don't dread things. Have a positive outlook. My mom would always say that about math. I don't love math. So, and I remember taking a calculus class, and she would say, think of it as the most exciting thing that you've ever done. And I was like, I don't know about that. But it does, it changes your thought process. So again,
Yeah.
we're the master of our own creation, so we have to think about that and what drives us, and just have hope and faith that it's going to take us in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, and the power of the mindset, and I think of it as the power of the words. And this example, I love it of, I have to do this. I have to take math class
Right, right,
versus I get to. I mean, so many people would love to get to take math class,
right. Yeah,
and just the power of the words, but it's a mindset thing. It is what we say to ourselves.
right.
Just switching it can really take something up a bit.
I've always heard that too, about if you're having a bad day, say you get up and you stub your toe, and then it seems like the rest of your day is like that. If you just kind of sit back and hit the reset button, or go outside, go for a quick walk, it changes your mindset. So I agree. I feel like everything is driven by your mindset.
Yeah. When you're in it, like I'm imagining, stubbing my toe and then everything just kind of falling apart. How do you push the reset button when you're just so wrapped up in all the things that are happening and you're in that headspace of just this is awful. This day's awful.
Again, it comes back to the connection. So, I could be driving in one state and showing like five houses, and then I have to go over to the other side of the fence and show four other houses. And it's just connecting with the people. And then say they had a bad day and they're telling me about it, then I'm thinking mine's not that bad. I stubbed my toe.
Mhm.
So just putting it into perspective, I think that helps.
Mhm. Yeah. And checking in with yourself there. Yeah. Yeah. Being mindful of what you're saying. Yeah. It comes back to the listening to those stories and then adjusting them.
Definitely.
Love it. Anything else, Christina?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot.
I do too. I appreciate you being on Purpose Project and sharing your experience, your tips, your advice. I think that everyone deserves a job that aligns with their purpose, and you've shared some practical ways that we can do that. So I
Oh,
appreciate you.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Christina is the first guest on Purpose Project to bring up the topic of limiting beliefs. She reminds us that limiting beliefs can be found in most people. It's that inner voice in the back of our minds saying, you don't deserve, you can't, you're not enough. She reminds us that when that negative energy is connected to our passions and to our purpose, it holds us back from fully stepping into our life's purpose. But what if we could reshape those limiting beliefs into limitless beliefs, into a voice in the back of our head saying, I can, I am enough, I deserve this. Purpose doesn't ask us to be perfect, but it does ask us to be present, to be aware of that voice in our head. And it asks us to step forward with a mindset of positive energy. So, what beliefs do you have that are limiting your potential? And how can you reshape those, redefine those into a voice of positivity, a voice of opportunity? Christina, thank you for being on Purpose Project. And thanks to all of you for tuning in. Purpose Project is brought to you for education and for entertainment purposes. This podcast is not intended to replace the advice that you would receive from a licensed therapist or doctor or any other qualified professional.